Please explain the plot of Kingdom Hearts 2 in 30 seconds or less.
Kingdom Hearts 2. Well, you wake up, believe it or not.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. There you go. Welcome, one and all, to your guide to speedrunning Kingdom Hearts 2 in 15 minutes or less, presented by GEICO. I'm Emma Fife, here today to help us delve into the admittedly confusing and complex world of Kingdom Hearts and the perhaps even more complex realm of speedrunning said game, thanks to our friends over at Games Done Quick, is speedrunner of many, master of none, Spike Vegeta. Welcome, and thanks so much for being here.
I appreciate so much using what I've got in my Twitter bio there. Speedrunner of many, master of none. It's perfect though. And Kingdom Hearts, one of my favorite speedruns out there. And like you said, completely complicated series and somehow more complicated in the speedrunning realm.
What are the categories for running Kingdom Hearts, and what are some of the world record times in each of those?
Generally, the most popular categories are either the fastest category,
right,
which in Kingdom Hearts is the easy one, the beginner.
Yep.
Or the hardest difficulty to add that extra layer of challenge and intrigue to both the runner and the viewer. Hey, I'm going really, really fast, while also walking around with the idea that if I mess up one thing, or maybe I get a little unlucky, I'm gonna get one shot. I'm gonna maybe get two shot if I'm lucky. World records, like I said, way back in the day, I set the first record at 5 hours, 25 minutes. It is now, through all the faster load times, through 15 years worth of new strats, the world record is rocking around a 2:46, I believe.
Wow. What's
held by Insert Logic. Yeah, go ahead.
What's your best time these days?
So I have actually not touched the game in years. At the time, I always have to set this up. So people are like, wow, he's slow, he sucks. But 4 years ago, when I last ran the game competitively, I believe I had a 3 hour and 12-minute time when the world record was more 3 hours.
Yeah.
And, getting ready for this interview, I was like, oh, I was going back to the game. I could get a better time these days. But that's always just, we always know we can do a little better.
How does the in-game movement in Kingdom Hearts affect the speed run? You were talking about sort of optimizing for the different scenarios that you come up against.
Basically, at the beginning of the game, you can run, you can strut your way across the game. It's not a game that's like super built around movement within the course of the speedrun, because you usually have to level up more in order to gain more of these abilities. Gliding, dodge rolling, high jumps, quick runs, all this stuff. We were able to route out years and years ago that about halfway through the run, we're able to build in a quick run, which is basically just a little dash forward. And there's a lot of little nuance about optimizing that quick run, so you cut out any landing lag from it as you kind of float along, knowing what surfaces to quick run up. And then there's also just super interesting usages of different combat tools within the game to allow us to move across the screen a little bit faster. Try to get into a little bit of the details, but there's some enemies that you can do a certain technique called a slide dash into, which is a move. It's supposed to be a gap closer in order for you to attack that enemy from a distance away and then, start going for all your finishers and everything. We'll sometimes use that with enemies that randomly spawn up just to dash across the screen a little bit faster and then be on our way. We don't care about killing the enemy. We just need something to lock onto to get to that point. There's little minute details around, we'll utilize certain magics, like we'll use fire, not to hurt anything, just to kind of give us this little bit of a lift to get up on top of a ledge and avoid having to do a ledge grab. There's lots of little stuff like that all over the game if you want to get super nerdy about how to go fast in the game. But definitely, while there is some focus on the movement of the game, it's definitely a speedrun that is your meat and potatoes of it, I guess you could say, is about ending the fights as quickly as you can with your limited combat tools.
Okay, well, how would you recommend ending the fights as quickly as you can in order to optimize a run?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing is understanding that within the game, every boss and enemy has a hidden value. Of course, we see their HP, their health points, and we know how much more we have to hit them. But they also have a value that we have dubbed the revenge value. Now, when you go up and attack an enemy, there's a certain mechanic built into the game that says, all right, well, we're not just going to let you wail on them forever. At a certain point, they're going to retaliate. That is not a random amount that they retaliate at. We know exactly when they're going to retaliate. We know down to every time I do a ground hit, that's going to add 1 point to their revenge value. Every time I do a ground finisher, that's going to add 3 points to the revenge value. If I do an aerial hit, that's 1.5 hits. Aerial finisher, that's 4 hits. So on and so forth for different magics and other things that you could use. And we know that, okay, the revenge value of this enemy is a 12. So not only do I know at 12, okay, I'm going to stop attacking them, I actually know exactly what they're going to do, and I'm going to take that and use that as a weapon against them. Because then I know maybe they've got super armor. They can't be stunned, which means I can do certain attacks where positioning-wise in the arena, in the fight, I want to keep them right there for something else to attack them that would maybe normally give them a bunch of knockback, get them out of my, effectively a stun loop, and now instead keep them right close to me and keep that HP bar going further and further and further down as we go through it. Knowing that, once you learn that for all the different fights, you know you can effectively get a lot of them into different loops that allow you to say, I'm going to do this 4-hit combo into another little 2-hitter, and that's going to get the retaliation. I'm either going to guard that and counter it, or utilize the reflect magic spell that will send that damage back at them, and then start over, rinse, repeat, and go until they're dead.
What would you say are the most important skills to master for speedrunning this game, outside of, again, having that immediate recognition with enemies and understanding their patterns and whatnot?
I think a big skill that nobody talks about in Kingdom Hearts speedrunning in general, and I think a lot of just action RPGs, is that there is a sub-menu. There's a little UI on the screen that you can pull from. There's attack, magic, items, drive forms you can go into, limits you can use, summons you can pull from, switch out your party members. All of those options are there, which in a turn-based RPG, that's all you're doing. And then there's just animations going on screen. In an action RPG, you're doing stuff. You're constantly moving around and trying to attack them, while you're doing that with the analog stick, while you're doing this with the D-pad, moving around in the pages, deciding what is the next thing that I have to do. It starts off as something where I think a lot of people can look at a Kingdom Hearts speedrun and think, oh, I'm just whacking things with a keyblade a lot. Like, that's all it really is. But the more you get into it, the more you realize my hands are touching every single button on this controller, trying to lock on with the shoulder buttons, swap to different hotkeys with other shoulder buttons, doing all of my different magics and attacks from the face buttons, going around in the menus with my D-pad, and moving both my character and the camera with both the sticks, doing all this at the same time. You will put your, your hands to the test trying to take care of all this stuff in real time as you go through.
Now, you're somebody who's very involved in sort of the educational aspect of the speedrunning community. What would you recommend for people that are just looking to get into speedrunning?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing, the number one thing I would always do is find maybe like a streamer or someone you enjoy who is running the game that you're looking into, and see, is there a Discord? Because you might be thinking to myself, okay, like there's Mario, there's Zelda, Kingdom Hearts, like there's these, like they've got Discords. Barney's Hide and Seek, I promise you, has a Discord. It has a community that you can go into and you can ask them, hey man, I loved this game as a child. My parents only gave me one video game. I want to get into Barney's Hide and Seek. But you can find a community, and they have all sorts of resources. The speedrunning community, more than any other community I've ever worked with in gaming, is so good about, they're excited to see other people getting into their community and excited about their game.
Yeah.
You know, again, some of these popular games, but maybe games that are 3, 4, 5 people in their community total. Maybe you'll get into one with a couple thousand into it, but they love to have more people come in. They love to teach you and get nerdy about the stuff that they have dedicated, for a lot of them, hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands of hours into.
Yeah, because I think that is something about the speedrunning community, is it's that whole idea of there are all of these people that are so passionate about various games, and a lot of speedruns are older games. And I think that because they are by and large single player games in the speedrunning community, there is something really special about connecting with other people that just like to play the same game as you.
Oh, absolutely. I love that you bring up so many of them are single player games. You know, it's built in to get, if you're wanting to get into fighting games, into FPSs, you know, maybe like an Overwatch or something. It's really cool to take, in the speedrunning community, a single player game and make it a multiplayer experience.
Yeah, that's such a good way of putting it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you were the one who said it first. Like, I kind of like, I've been in the community for 20 years. I kind of built on it, but like, no, but that's absolutely what you're doing. It's that being on the playground as a kid and talking about, oh, I just beat this level of Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever. Like, oh, I beat this time, yada, yada, yada. We're taking it. We have taken the playground and we have put it on Discord and on the internet. We're talking there about it, constantly trying to think about what is the fastest way we can do every little sequence of these maybe 30-minute or in the course of like a Kingdom Hearts multi-hour long games, and slowly but surely bring that time down while we're making the community bigger.
Heck yeah. Well, before I let you go, Spike Vegeta, I do have one last very, very important question. Can you please explain the plot of Kingdom Hearts 2 in 30 seconds or less?
Kingdom Hearts 2. Well, you wake up after Kingdom Hearts 1. If you didn't play Chain of Memories, it was for the Game Boy Advance. Don't worry. It somehow was really important to the plot, but Sora was put to sleep. Sora, Donald, and Goofy. They had to have their memories wiped of a game that ended up not meaning as much later on, but that's okay. But then you wake up as Roxas. Roxas is a nobody of Sora. Nobodies are like, if they lose their heart, they become like a piece of somebody else, and then they take your name and they put an X and then they scatter it all up, and there's your name. You're Roxas now instead of Sora. That's cool. And then you have to take out these 13 organization members. What are they? They're all nobodies. So that's kind of cool. They all took some weird names. They put X's in them. And then you defeat the game at the end by beating up Xemnas. He's the last of the group. His voice is really, really sexy. But then a letter comes in and says, hey, we need 16 more spin-off games. And then we'll get Kingdom Hearts 3 in about 15 years. And then after that, stuff's going to get even weirder, believe it or not.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. There you go. That's your guide to speedrunning Kingdom Hearts and also your speed run of the plot of Kingdom Hearts 2. Spike Vegeta, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your experiences and giving us some insight into the world of speedrunning Kingdom Hearts 2.
Thank you so much, Emma. Yeah, this has been a joy to get to be a part of, and yeah, I hope people enjoy the series and want to get into speedrunning Kingdom Hearts 2. It's way more fun than you would think.
Well, I feel amped about trying to dive back into some Kingdom Hearts 2. I know that we learned a lot today. Thank you so much to everybody for watching your guide to speedrunning in 15 minutes or less, presented by GEICO. And remember, GEICO, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.